All right, my remote started working. Light in the darkness. So I usually use Stephanie when my wife is here. Stephanie, could you please do the honors for Mary Magdalene? This will be your confirmation.
You know when you get like a word from
my love.
Crafted by the warmth and precision of human hands.
God, you know when you get like a word from God and you have like two revelations in one and it's so crazy. I was writing down the word this morning and I had no idea that I had another word that connected with that word. It's so crazy. So crazy. But I have a word for someone and it's words of wisdom as well. And it's something that God showed me last night. Okay? I had this crazy prophetic dream last night. And it was so prophetic. God was revealing a lot to me. And in this dream, it's like there was somebody with their kingdom husband, right? And in the dream, the lady that was with her kingdom husband, she didn't look like you could look at her kingdom husband, you could tell like he was well put together, and you could tell that she was going through a lot. Like you could look at someone and tell when they're going through a lot, right? So she looks like what she was going through, basically. So when you see them together, it almost looked like, an example is like Edward from Pretty Woman. God just gave me this revelation about Pretty Woman. Edward from Pretty Woman and Julia Roberts. So remember when you first met her, and you look at Julia Roberts and you look at Edward, you're like, nah, they're not a match. Like they're from two different lifestyles. You know, people would judge and think that, right? So I literally got a revelation about a Pretty Woman. Like, oh my gosh, that the analogy is perfect. But I had the dream last night that was similar to this. So the woman didn't look like she would be that man's wife, because he looked a certain type of way and she looked a certain type of way. Like he looked like well put together, like a cleanup, and she looked like she was going through a lot. Like she almost looked homeless. Okay, almost looked homeless, and there was a lot of, actually she did look homeless, because there was like a lot of homelessness, and her house was like really like, not her house, but her place, like where she was staying, it was like almost like a little room, I saw last night, it was almost like a bed, like a little room, and it was like the bed had stains on it, and it was just, you could tell she was going through a rough patch in her life, right? Anywho, the guy had a friend, and the friend's name was Jim or Tim, I don't remember which one, Jim or Tim, but this was like a professional person. And he was having a conversation with a kingdom husband, and they met on LinkedIn. So God showed me LinkedIn, okay? God showed me LinkedIn to let me know that these two people, these two men were communicating, and they met from LinkedIn, okay? That's how they knew each other. And they were both like kind of in the same circle, like, you know, like they both looked like some type of corporate. Like they both had like, the kingdom husband had a business suit on, and the other man had like a business suit on as well. So they looked like they were from like corporate. I remember seeing the kingdom husband's LinkedIn. It had like 50, I think 50 to 100. I don't remember if it was 50 or 100, because I saw two numbers. There was 50 and there was 100. So I don't know if he had like 50 followers, or if he was following 50 people and had 100 followers. I just know I saw the two numbers and I saw the LinkedIn, and it was like his professional profile and everything, right? So the guy that he was talking to, I was around the kingdom wife, and the guy that he was talking to was like Jim. His name's Jim or Tim. He was basically telling the kingdom husband, oh, you can't be with that woman. She's gonna mess up your image. Look at her. Like he was judging the woman, like, look at her, she's gonna mess up your image. And he was trying so hard to convince the kingdom husband that that's not his woman, because she does not fit his image, because basically he was judging her appearance, he was judging the way she looked, and he was basically saying, not she, he was judging her, how she looked and her appearance, and he was basically saying, if you end up with her, if you marry her, she's gonna mess up your reputation, she's gonna mess up your image. Basically, like, if you marry her, she's gonna mess up your reputation and image, etc. You can't be seen with someone like that. That's what he was saying. You can't be seen with someone like that. Ooh, because God gave me the Pretty Woman analogy, like literally in the car. That's why I screamed. I was like, whoa. So oh my gosh. And then I had another revelation when I was doing my makeup today, and he gave me like a whole other word, and it just kind of connects. Oh my gosh. So that's what the guy was saying. And the girl was like defending herself. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't match his image. Like, she went over and defended herself, right? But regardless, the kingdom husband didn't leave. Like, he stayed with her. Like, he was loyal and stayed with her. And, you know, he was still there, right? Whew, he was still there. And oh my goodness, this happened to many of us. Because even when that's all I saw in the dream when I woke up. I woke up, and when I woke up, I'm not gonna lie, I was in my feelings too, because I was like, whoa, that's crazy, because I went through something similar to that. I'm pretty sure others went through something similar to that. Like, that's where like the rejection kind of came in, because you could look at someone and not think that they're your person because of what they're going through, because they may not be cleaned up, or they may not be doing good in their life that moment. So people will look at the person and be like, oh, that can't be your person, or whatever, and that's messed up. But many of us went through that, where we didn't have anything, and we weren't able to support ourselves. We were going through a rough patch in our life. I know when I went through a patch in 2016, I looked exactly like what I went through, literally. Like, I did not, like, I had a bunch of acne. I did not look cleaned up like I look today. Like, I looked like what I was going through, right? So it did, when I saw that dream, I know God was revealing a message to someone about their kingdom husband still being loyal despite the people that are in his ear telling him not to be with her. So I know that was the word for someone, but it almost even like triggered me, but not in a negative way. It triggered me because it just brought back old emotions where I was like, man, I remember when that happened to me, except the difference is, like, I was judged, right? Like many others were judged, but this person's situation, a person was loyal and stuck by them, right? Stuck by them. So that's someone's message, like how there was someone in your kingdom husband's ear trying to get him to not be with you because the person basically saying that you don't meet their standards, or you don't look like the part. And based on how you look, or based on your lifestyle, whatever was going on in your life, the person thinks that you're going to ruin a person's reputation. But the kingdom husband was loyal. Like, he didn't let that bother him or anything. So I want to give you the confirmation that that person's loyal. Like, he still stuck through. He still stuck by you despite what people were saying in his ears, right? So I also want to mention, you know, something to you, how you have to be careful who you judge, okay? Because let me tell you something. A woman could look polished and clean and look well put together, and a man may run after that polished, clean, well put together looking woman who looks high maintenance and looks like, oh, she could definitely fit my part because I'm this high value man, here's this high value woman, so she definitely fits my standards. So a woman can run after a man can run after a woman that looks that way, but that woman could be a whole witch. That woman could be a whole witch. That woman could be into witchcraft. And even though she may look presentable on the outside, she could be doing a lot of shady stuff on the inside. You see what I'm saying? That man that was telling him in the dream not to be with that woman, I'm pretty sure he had skeletons in his closets that could have ruined his reputation, right? But it's the hypocrisy. Because no one's perfect. You see what I'm saying? Everybody's went through a rough patch in their life. Do you get what I mean? No one's excluded from that. So to judge someone and to say someone can ruin your reputation because the way they don't look like they can be your person, is very judgmental and very wrong. Because if you judge based on appearance, you will be made a fool out of, literally. Because let me tell you something. Esther went from being an orphan to a queen. Joseph went from being, you know, who he was to king. Daniel went from who he was to receiving recognition, okay, to high status, high levels, okay? Similar to David. David went from a shepherd to king. Jesus went from carpenter to the Messiah. He's always been the Messiah, so he didn't go from something to something. He's always been. But you see what I'm saying? Like, be careful who you judge, because I went through the same thing. I was judged too. I was judged by a lot of people. And look how God turned my life around. Look how God cleaned me up. You get what I'm saying? Look how God cleaned me up. I see some of the people that laughed at me and judged me. Some of these people are not doing well in their life right now. And some of them are going through similar things that I went through in the past that they mocked me about, right? I know plenty of women that put me down in the past, that would make fun of my appearance, that would do things to mess with my appearance, do spell work to mess with my appearance. They would do spell work to mess with my appearance. A lot of these women that look polished, they would do spell work to make me look worse than I was already looking. And they're the whole time they were pretending to be this polished queen or polished princess. But the whole time behind closed doors, they were doing these spells and witchcraft and love spells and doing everything possible to receive what it is that they had. But they were trying to make someone who was just trying to survive look worse than what they were going through. Do you get what I'm saying? So this is why it's important not to judge, because God can turn someone's life around like that. And if you listen to people, this is, I can't, God is remarkable, because he gave me a word about people trying to get you to miss out on opportunities that they actually want, right? So this is the word that he gave us. I'm going to post it to a separate video, but you're going to understand why I keep going, because he like, it's crazy. But anyways, like the man, that was telling the kingdom husband, like, oh, don't be with that person, don't be with that person. He probably saw the heart of the woman and saw the woman had a good heart and probably low-key wanted a woman like that. I knew that if he ends up with that woman would be perfect for him, because that woman is going to love him unconditionally. Do you see what I'm saying? He probably saw that, and here's why I'm saying that, because God gave me the pretty woman analogy. And when he gave me the pretty woman analogy, I was like, oh my gosh, didn't that happen with Julia Roberts, where they judged her when she walked in that store and basically said, oh, you don't belong here, you can't afford this, yada yada yada, because of how she looked. And then she ended up coming back like, oh, you make commission, right? Do you guys remember that part? Big mistake. And then remember the same guy that was telling Edward, the guy that Julia Roberts was with, remember, which her name was Vivian. Do you remember the guy that Edward was friends with, the lawyer that was like, oh, you shouldn't be with her, she's gonna ruin your reputation, you can't be seen with her, you can't take her seriously, look at her walk of life, yada yada yada. He was saying all that to Edward, yet he went behind Edward's back and tried to get with her, and that could have ruined his reputation. So how could you tell someone not to be seen with someone, not to do something with someone because they're going to ruin your reputation, but yet you're the one trying to do things behind Edward's back? You have skeletons in your closet that can ruin your reputation. Do you see what I'm saying? So you got to be careful who you judge, and never let anyone, manipulate you out of happiness, because trust me, God can turn someone's life around. Anyone can get cleaned up. Anyone can get cleaned up. Anyone can go and get therapy, get healing, go do their hair, go cut their hair, go do their nails, go polish up themselves. But not everybody's actually going to be genuinely beautiful in the heart and in the spirit. And that's something that you can't pay for. You can't pay to get cleaned up. That's something that only God can clean up. Ooh, Holy Spirit. I'm just like, God just blows my mind. Like, I can't. But anyways, that message was for that woman, whoever resonates with this, but also for others who've been in this same kind of similar situation. Okay? I'm going to post the other words soon. And love you guys. Bye.
She's funny. She's one of my youngest. Good job, Stephanie. Well done. Good and faithful servant. Love you, Bab.